Welcome to the Black Knight Nation podcast. I'm your host, Sal Interdonato. The Black Knight Nation podcast is sponsored by Higher Echelon. Higher Echelon is a company run by Joe Ross, former Army fullback, former Army assistant coach, former Army officer, and we appreciate Higher Echelon sponsoring this podcast. You could find us, the podcast, on all podcasting platforms, the audio podcasting platforms, and also check out our YouTube channel. Last week we had John Voight on, 2017 Army football captain. That was a great talk with John Voight. We have so many others in our archives, and we welcome in for the second straight Mother's Day, Frederica Daniels, mother of Marquel Broughton, Army football captain. Frederica, we really appreciate you hopping on tonight.
Yes, anytime.
Yeah, we were talking already. I mean, so spring practice probably ended a few weeks ago, right? And they had the black and gold game, and we're already talking Coastal Carolina on Labor Day weekend. I don't know. I'm hoping it goes pretty fast because, to be honest with you, I'm a basketball fan, and my Nets are out of the NBA playoffs, right? I'm a Mariners fan. My team is really struggling there. I need some football in my life right now, like some live football, right? I know we're only in May, but I don't know if you're craving it too.
Man, I can feel it in my bloodstream right now. I'm craving it. Spring football got me hyped, and then it went away, and it's like, oh gosh, how many months we got left?
Yeah, I know they have the clock, right? I know they have the clock up maybe in the meeting rooms and stuff like that. It's more the Beat Navy clock, I think, than it is the season opening clock. So, I mean, I might have to get one started somehow. There's got to be an app to start that up, to see how, far away we are from that game against Coastal. Did you get a chance? Did you get a chance to go up to the spring game, or did you get a chance to do that?
No, I ended up. I was planning on going, and it just wasn't able to go. And I waited to the last minute to get my ticket. So, and then gas went up and flights went crazy. So it was ridiculous.
Yeah, flying is, and you can have your ticket too, and sometimes those flights do not get off the ground. I mean, we had one going down south around Easter, and luckily we drove, because otherwise we had a feeling our flight was going to be canceled, and it was canceled the next day. So, the traveling is going to be interesting. Hopefully things clear up with everything that's going on around our country. Just the enthusiasm around spring practice, right?
Yes.
Coming in, Marquel going into his senior year, crazy, right?
Yes. Gosh, it seems like it was just freshman year. Happy for him, but sad for me.
Right? It goes by so quickly, and it's another year. And I remember we were talking last year a little bit about how his role would grow a little bit on the defense, and it did. Vocally became a captain. We talked about that a little bit, and just tell us a little bit about how you followed his junior year a little bit, and how that because I know you guys were always on the road. I know you guys were at games. I think we had a photo of members of your family at the bowl game, the Armed Forces Bowl. Listen to a little bit about what that was like for you last year.
Well, it was awesome because we got to see more games than we did in 2020. So, starting off, I had already booked at least 7 flights for last year. And I was like, please don't cancel. And we started out here in Georgia State, right here at home. And we had almost 60 family members and friends at the game. And it was a eye opener. I think we kind of shocked everybody with that game. The first game, I mean, we blew Georgia State out, and it was like, wow, we got a season. Like it felt like football again. It didn't feel like 2020 where we didn't know, and then they kind of eased up off of some of the mask and things like that at the game. So, we had a lot more family able to travel. And I think I did 9 up. No. They had 13. Was it 12 or 13 games last year? I think it was 12.
13. They played 13. They were 9-4. Yeah.
I missed one game last year. So
wow.
I was at every game. And the one game I missed, I was mad. So I booked the ticket the next week for the next flight. I was like, I'm not missing no more. Not missing no more. And it was just an excitement. Just with all the players, everybody. Christian Anderson coming out there throwing bombs, and Isaiah Alston catching
Yeah.
phenomenal catches, and I mean, all the way down to the bowl game, Jabari Laws with the 111. They always talk about a 111, and it's amazing that they had 1 minute and 11 seconds left on that game. They played their 111.
Yeah, what a comeback that was, right?
Yes,
And what a great finish for just an amazing. If you got to talk to Jabari Laws for 5 minutes, you want to talk to him for an hour and just keep on going. The kid is just an amazing guy. So we're so happy to see that.
yes.
Guys, if you're watching us right now and you have any comments or questions for Frederica or I about Army football, she knows the team probably better than I do. So we can talk about the team, we can talk about the experiences, and you know what? You realize that at the bowl game, for instance, right? Yeah, it's in Dallas. It was in Fort Worth, right? And a place where Army has a lot of grads and has a lot of support there.
Yes.
But every year it seems like those bowl games draw Army fans, right?
Yes,
and
they do.
And the support that team gets, you just feel it. Even at the Oklahoma game a few years back, you just felt like there was an RB rep in the crowd, even though there were 80,000 fans there.
Yes. Even Michigan.
Yeah. This is a team that people go out and root for, whether it goes back in their family for years where grandfathers or, relatives were graduates or watching the team back in the glory years. Who knows?
Yes, yes.
What's that like on the road with, for instance, the bowl game? What was that like? Because a lot of the parents are very supportive getting out there and wanting to see actually their sons play high level football.
Yeah, we actually have a schedule. We have meet times where we go out together. We know when the boys are coming in. We're gonna meet at the hotel at this time. You would think it was a full-time job, but we have it like clockwork. It's on schedule, clockwork. The boys get in at 6:00. We're gonna meet here. After this, we're gonna go here. So say for instance, the bowl game. Met up at the stockyard after we seen the boys and had a ball out there, and then we go meet up somewhere else, and then we know the boys have a certain amount of hours they can see us. We head back to the hotel. So it is a phenomenal experience, and how we all just navigate together. It's like we the motherhood. So we just as much as they stick together, we the motherhood. So we like glue.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Yes.
We're doing it's an incredible right, just like you see the support that the team gets from the families, right? And then I remember bumping into you at the Army Navy game this past year, right? It's crazy, just the tailgates and just
amazing
how this program has you meet friends for life, right? Through this program.
Yes, you do. Even the ones that gone already, even the ones that didn't stick West Point out, like we're still friends. It's like one of the parents that stick to my mind is the Miggets. We keep in contact, like literally. It's another one that's over at Crownover. He never made it to West Point. He was at the prep school. So it's like ones that we have developed. We're sisters for life. We're family for life. Like mom, sister, brother, aunties. That's my grandma. That's their grandma. It's a feeling like no other. And throughout these years of football, I don't think I've ever, and we had a close family in football during rec league, but I don't think he's out doing Army. I have sisters that I can call up if I'm having a problem, or if I need some answers, they're going to get the answers. It is, the mothers are unexplainable superheroes.
It is amazing because you were right. It starts for those who Army players who start at Army prep, right? That's where the connections start, not only for the players, but the parents too. I remember being up at a prep school game. It was probably the year before Marquel was there. And I saw how the families got together. And after the game, this is a Friday night game. The game ends at like 9:30, 10. they're getting tables ready and they're getting a spread ready for the team
Yes.
before. And this was it might have been late August or early September. So it was one of the first games that they're doing. These parents are together, and the way that these parents work together so their kids can have a really full meal after the game.
Yes.
I remember that. It was Garnett Nicholas was a player at the prep school at that point. He didn't end up going to Army. He ended up going to Jacksonville and playing fullback there. But that's how far back it goes.
Wow.
I can't remember who the quarterbacks were back then. But it was only like maybe 5 or 6 years ago. But I saw firsthand how these parents work together to get their kids everything they can. Because like you said, time is of the essence, right? I mean, you don't get there's not a lot of time you get to see your sons. So you make the most of it.
Every minute counts. Every minute. Matter of fact, every second counts. And then the thing about it is, if a parent can't be there, we parent while we're there. So, say for instance, we got somebody on the West Coast that can't make it over. Oh, it's okay. She gonna get them a lot of pictures. She gonna get videos, hugs, kisses, everything. They gonna feel like their mom was there.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that's a great point too, because somebody's there to film and somebody's there to give those memories.
Yes.
And that's not something like personally, like I was at my daughter's lacrosse game yesterday, right? And I was talking to somebody I know, and it's 3rd and 4th grade lacrosse, and my daughter gets in the game, and lacrosse, I'm still getting the rules out, but she scoops up the ball and is making the pass, and here I am talking to my to this guy I know, and my daughter at the end of the game is like, "Did you get a video of that, Dad? Did you get a video of that, Dad?" And I'm like, "Oh man, of course, one of I did it, and she's like, "Oh, I can't believe you didn't do that," because usually I'm my my phone is glued to the field, And so for you guys to take the time out, for the other parents to take the time out to get those videos and to send them to the parents that can't make it, just so they know that, hey, everything's okay, right? Because because West Point, you want to check in on your kids probably almost every hour if you can at West Point, right?
Yes.
But they have their time constraints, and they have everything they have a schedule that's crammed up, and they might not, if you don't hear from them a day, you might say, oh, there's texting, of course, now, and FaceTime that you could do and stuff. But I mean, those little things are very important.
Photo goes a long ways. I know I used to try to get to the games at West Point early, so I can at least, the TV don't show the warm-ups and those type of things. And I'll go live on our mom's page, so they can be a part of the experience. And I'm taking pictures about every person. I'll ask the numbers a special request, and I'm trying to get as many photos of this child as possible and try to just bring them in the experience, because man, I missed that one game last year and I was fussing at the TV. I was mad, and then it looked like Marquel had went down on a play and I about lost it. And I had a parent, time he went down, Marquel's okay. Marquel's okay. I got a whole bunch of text messages. He's okay. He's fine. He's walking the sideline. That's what we do. We rally around each other for the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, it is, I can't say enough about us parents and the dads, the moms, sisters, the aunties. I can say one, Connor Bishop's grandma. She's my grandma. She's my grandma. That's grandma. Man, I think I message her more than I message anybody. We're always talking about something, and you just meet phenomenal people along the way. And then I think some of his, who is it, Noah Knapp's aunts right around the corner from me, his aunt and uncle. So we form a bond. So, and it's just Ann Barzak, her, Sam and Marquel's been together since prep school. So it's amazing.
I understand where you're coming from, because I remember when I was covering the team for the newspaper, and it would be the first day of preseason practice, and I would go live on Periscope. It was back then, right? Mm-hmm. And I would just do a zoom across the warm-up line, and as long as they would let me go live, I would go live, right? Yes. And you see how many parents would be direct messaging me. have you seen number 50? Have you seen number 45? Is 45 out there? What's going on? And I'm like, holy cow, you really understand like where, and being a parent too, you really understand where they're coming from, especially yes. Right. They've been to Beast Barracks, right? They changed it around now with Monken being there. You go to Beast and then you're going to summer school basically, and then you're lifting weights and then you're going to preseason. So there is some time there where you can connect to family, but you know,
they still can't. A lot of times they can't connect to us during that time either. Monken is all about the football. So, you know,
okay.
We don't get to talk to them then. We might get a text message every now and then, but they have a strict schedule as if they was at Beast Barracks. So
okay,
that time he takes it serious.
He calls a training camp, and I don't know. They used to stay in the right in the building there that's overlooking the practice field and stuff like that.
That's what they say.
Kimsey Center. They're staying in the Kimsey Center. There's bunk bed. There used to be bunk beds set up back in the day. I don't know if they still do that.
I think they still do have the bunk beds, and they have a TV room, and they have time they can spend in that room. So yeah, it's about bonds during that time, and I think that's where they build their closest bonds. It's during that time because the outside world is out.
Oh yeah, and especially now with social media, you know, they get seen on their phones. I don't even want to know what the wrath is for that. Sometimes, you know, that's got to be a big penalty. Yeah, because I remember the previous coach being invited into how they were setting up barracks, and he showed me how they feed them in the morning and stuff like that, and how they run it. But you're right, the bonds there. That's what this program's built on. You know, it's not. Yeah, you can have talented kids that come out of high school, right? Yeah. And they might be the best players on their team or the best players in their region. But the football team doesn't succeed without those bonds being built. Yes. You know, it just doesn't.
Chemistry, like, and I think 2020 was a very powerful year that they were able to. They really formed bonds because, you know, they were segregated from everybody, and it was just the football team around the football team. So literally, you know, I think that 2020 season came about because of COVID, and they were able to. That's all they could see the whole summer, you know.
And there's players on this team that, you know, were a big part of that 2020 team that are still that are going to be like juniors and seniors. And, you know, now, I mean, if you can get through that and you can win, you know, and you can win the CIC trophy in back-to-back weeks against Army, Navy, and Air Force. I mean, there's nothing that you can't do, really.
Yeah.
So I know that this. Hey, we have a visitor. How you doing?
Say hey. Hey. I'm Lotus. Say I'm Broughton's princess.
I'm Broughton's
princess.
I'm Broughton's
Lotus. She has to get in the show.
Awesome. So what's it like following Marquel?
Man,
he's got to be your favorite player, right?
Yes, he is. She runs around the house hollering football, Uncle Quell football. Like, she's been going since she's been born. She's been going to the football games. Okay, un momento. Yeah, he's okay. She's saying he's okay. But yeah, she's been going to football games since she was what? Since she came out, because it started in prep school. We had her at 1 month old at a football game. So all she knows is Army football right now.
Wow, that's so you got a fan for life right there, I think.
Yes, I think she gets more TV time than us.
That's got to be. I mean, so it's not just you traveling to games, right? I mean, it's a family thing for you guys.
It is a family affair. We live, eat, sleep football. So it's me, my 2 kids, my daughter, and my other son, and Lotus, and we hit the road. If it's a close game, we get in the car. If not, we're getting on the plane. But we're going.
That's when you have young ones on the plane, that's always an experience, right?
Oh,
I mean, yeah, I know that for my daughter doing that. Just talk about Marquel maybe and how maybe you've seen. Has there been a growth with him? Just
yes.
You know, from even last time we talked to now, and how, I mean, talk to us a little bit about that.
I can't say his leadership skills. Like, I didn't I knew he had leadership skills before, but he showed me a role that I've never seen, and how passionate he is about it, whether it's good, bad, ugly. Okay, go get mommy. How good it is. Here, take her the phone. Um, you know, he just steps up, but how people cling to him has been like, everybody is always clinging to him, even if he's being mean. Like, and I guess it's not being mean, he's just doing his role, but a sore loser. So if you're losing, you're gonna have a bad day. Gosh, I seen the passion of leadership come out of him during that Army Navy game.
Yeah.
Like, he took that. We got there and he was like, we got there. Oh, you can't see me today. This is it. You got 10 minutes. That's it. We got to focus on this football game, this, and this. And it's just his passion. But he's grown, man. Like, it's hard to explain. I had a boy. Now he's a full grown man, but he's taken leadership roles to the fullest. And he loves it, enjoys it, and he's embracing it. And I always knew he had it in him, but Army has pulled every bit of leadership out of him I can ever, like, they've squeezed everything out of him, and I still think they got a lot more to squeeze, and he's already doing a phenomenal job. I'll sit and I'll watch some of these interviews of him. This past one they did, the captain, and just listening to people talk about him, but not just the coaches, but his teammates. And it just goes to show, I mean, he's made me nothing but a proud mom. And I brag all the time about how strong he is, because West Point is not easy. It's not easy. And he's very influential in everything he does, in the classroom, on the football field. It's community service. Everything he does, he just does so well. I wish I had half of his talents.
Right. And I was going to mention how, there's leaders, there's something there, right, when he goes, but then how he keeps on growing into that leadership role.
Yes.
And then, I mean, that's what it's all about there, right? And when you have a leader on the football team that is vocal, and when he speaks, you're going to listen. And when times are tough, he's going to tell you what it is. He's not going to sugarcoat much. So he don't
sugarcoat nothing. We knew that as a little boy, that he don't sugarcoat anything. He's just got better and firmer at it now. But he's very firm, but it's all in a positive note, and he's very humble. He's a listener. He's a listener, tells you what he feels, and then he's loving and caring at the same time. But he takes Army football, he takes West Point serious. Like, everything that he does, he's trying to climb a ladder to achieve something greater. And he wants to be greater in everything he does. And I tell you, through these, just the change from 2020 to 2021 was a total different football player theme. As a football player, a leader, he sits back and he pays attention to everything, but he watches body language. He watches coach's language, like everything. And his mind is always racing, trying to figure out what we can do to be better, what we can do to make ourselves better, our football program better, our experience at West Point better. He's good in everything. He tries to dig out the good and focus on that. But he's also on himself. He'll beat himself up for things that he does wrong.
It's like having another coach on the field and in the locker room, I think, and that cannot be, understated at all. And when you're the position that he's playing right on defense, and what he can see on the field and what he can relay that to his teammates. And then you just when you're outside of football and you're talking about life experiences, and if you're having a rough day at West Point, who do you lean on, right? Who are the guys that you lean on? Who are the people that you lean on?
Yes.
And you need that. And I went to a public college, didn't know anything about the West Point until maybe 25 years ago. And
Yeah.
then when you start learning more and more about it, you realize it does take a special person to
Yes.
go there. It takes a special person to succeed there because, just our co-host Steve Anderson will tell you, there's times that, and anybody will say, there's times where you have your bad days and you say, maybe this is not for me, and maybe it's time that I look elsewhere.
Yes.
And you need that brotherhood, that bond. And you talk to guys who are being recruited by Army, players who are going to graduate high school this month or next month, players that are juniors who are committing to Army. They'll tell you the one thing that impresses them all the time when they visit is that brotherhood and
Yes.
that culture. And we had John Voight on last week, and how that Monken basically from day one, you can
Yes.
use that word. That culture is a word that's used a lot in sports, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
I don't know if it's living it is the right word to describe it, but at West Point, like we
Yes.
said, if you don't follow through with that, um, you're not going to have an enjoyable experience, or things are football might not be for you,
Exactly.
So that's the way I look at it. I don't know how you see it.
It is, and it's funny. You see some of the boys that walk away from football, but they still have that bond with each other, even though they're not on the football team. Like I sat at the games and to watch the cadets come to the games and cheer them on as if they were on the sideline in pads. It was like it's a phenomenal experience to love amongst these boys, these young men rather, and it's phenomenal. What Monkey has going on right now, I commend him on the job that he's doing as well. Him and the other coaches, because as he say all the time, it's not easy having running a D1 football program. Guys on like it's as if they don't miss a beat, and if they
Yeah.
do, we can't tell it from the outside.
Yeah, and their rosters are to sometimes Army's advantage. To sometimes their rosters are about double almost the size of a FBS roster, and
Yes,
so there's a lot of different players, personalities with players. There's opportunities. There's sometimes where you might be number one on the depth chart. There's other weeks where the matchup doesn't work and you might not see time, but you got to
yes,
still be that practice player, right? You got to be that guy who's still bought in, so to speak. And
yes,
I'm interested to see this year because it seems like every year, right? There's a senior or a guy who maybe didn't get a lot of snaps the previous year that
yes.
steps up, and there's some opportunities there, especially on Marquel's side of the ball on defense. There's some opportunities there for guys to step up and make a difference this year that maybe didn't see the field a lot last year.
Exactly, and I believe we're gonna have a lot of them step up. That's just my feeling. Marquel tells me nothing, so I learn the same way everybody else learns. But literally, you know, the hungriness. They've set, and I guess watching John Radigan's story and how he blossomed through the 2020 season showed me that we have a lot of good talent on this team and nobody knows about. We just know
Yeah.
about what's been displayed, but these kids that's behind is just waiting on their moment. Just waiting on their moment. And I think we're gonna have some explosive on both sides of the ball, even on special teams.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because linebacking, there's some opportunities there. On the
Yes.
defensive line, there's some opportunities. A guy, we know Andre Carter, right? We know Andre Carter is going to
Yes.
bring it. I mean, some are projecting him to go in the first round of the
At
2023 draft, and
yes.
that is
That's big.
Federica. If that happens, that will be the first time any academy player has been drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. Well, this is in the 1940s when they had the glory days of Army football. The
Yes.
NFL wasn't officially the NFL,
No,
So,
nothing like
so,
it is today.
so you have Andre Carter, right, and you have Marquel, and you have some guys that you have Jabari Moore. You have guys that have played a lot of games for Army on
Yes.
defense, right?
Yes.
A guy I want to see get more opportunities, Nate Smith.
Oh gosh, I can't wait to see him play. I'm so eager to scream his name. I know what he can bring. Like I've seen a little taste of it,
Yeah.
and he's gonna. He's going to hit it wide open, and a lot of people are going to be saying that name. That's going to be a household name.
I think that, the attention that Andre Carter is going to get, right? I think that Nate Smith is a guy who could play both linebacker and defensive, and you could stand him up if you want to. I don't know if you followed the team back before maybe Marquel was Alex Ackerman was a guy who could do the same. And Alex Ackerman was a guy who came in as a safety and through the program worked his tail off, got to 260.
D-line?
He was a linebacker.
Yes.
But he also, there were times where they only played 2-3 defensive linemen, and he was one of them. John Voight and him might have been the defensive line at one point, And so I see Nate Smith with opportunity as a guy who can who's going to be pretty exciting to watch. And then
another one, I think, Leo Lowen.
Yep.
He's going to be phenomenal.
I wouldn't be – well, I know they have Jimmy Charlo to play that Apache position, Malcolm Morrison. I think Leo Lowen is a guy who gives the team a lot of flexibility because he's a former safety, right?
Yes.
So if you're going against a passing team, you can have him – he doesn't necessarily have to play inside linebacker.
No,
he could be that nickel guy or he can be that extra DB.
Yes.
He's going to play a lot of downs, and then maybe you can
send him out to the quarterback too, and he's going to get back there in the backfield.
Yeah, he's an intelligent player. We saw, if you didn't see the video that they did on Leo Lowen, check out Army Football's Twitter account. I think they put it out last week on Leo Lowen.
Yeah, it was last week.
I mean, he's an A student, a very bright kid, and not a lot of people can make that transition right away from playing safety to inside linebacker, right?
Yes.
And he's a little undersized for what Army has had in the past with the Eric Smiths and the Cole Christiansens and the James Nauticals. But man, you see, especially toward the end of the season, he really started to pick it up, and he was making plays from sideline to sideline. And I think that's something to watch. And we have guys like Spencer Jones, who was a little banged up last year. And if he can get back on the field, I think I
can't wait to get him healthy. I hope he's healthy before Coastal Carolina, because he's explosive.
I think Army fans following this team are a little concerned about the inside linebacker spot with, Eric Smith gone. And Eric, let's get this in.
Yes.
How did we go 32 minutes without talking about Army seniors who are now in rookie camps?
What was it,
5 of them. Nolan Cockrell this weekend at Ravens camp, right? Eric Smith going to the Jaguars. Malcolm Morrison. Malcolm Morrison going to the Raiders. Right. And people, man, you watch film on Malcolm Morrison, and you know that guy is all over the place, right?
All over the place, and laid some hits too.
Yeah, he's a hitter. He's very versatile. Yes. So people might not have Malcolm too. They might have had like Cockrell, Eric Smith, Zach Harding.
Yes.
Those guys. Zach Harding
didn't even have him on the radar, I don't even think. And the Raiders did.
I hope he shows out, and I hope that all these guys, because you look at it, they got rookie minicamp invites, right? So they don't have contracts yet.
Yes.
To my understanding. So I really hope these teams.
It's a little different this year. Last year they didn't do the invites; they just did undrafted, right?
Yeah, I think you could be correct. I think that because the situation with COVID, I don't know if they want to they weren't bringing as many players to these rookie minicamps. Man, I don't know if you saw. I went through the Ravens gallery today, right? Because I was just looking for a photo of Cockrell to see if one was available. They took a rookie team camp photo, and there must have been 50 players there.
I seen it. Right? I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and you're absolutely correct. There were not that many players at rookie camps last year,
No.
And so I think it's different. They're going to get they have their opportunity to show right in front of the right. Take as many reps as you can in front of the NFL coaches in a practice environment, and Cedric Cunningham we mentioned too with the Colts. Cedric, what a steady Zach Harding with the Jets, Eric with the Jaguars. Malcolm with the Raiders and Nolan with the Ravens. Man, I hope they get a chance to go to
I hope
go
all
to
of them get a chance.
preseason camp and get a shot because coming into the season, I thought Nolan could definitely make a team. You look at like Malcolm. Yeah, Harding definitely has the talent, and I know punters. Making the team, knocking off the guy who's been there, the punter that's been there for a couple of years. We'll see. I hope he gets a chance. You look at Elijah Riley, you look at Cole Christensen, and you look at John Radigan. Spent time on this practice squad before they got elevated, right? So there's nothing wrong with you're practicing. You're in a NFL environment. There's nothing. I hope that these guys can get some practice squad opportunity. I hope they get to preseason camp first.
Yes.
And then practice squad opportunities.
Yes. Look at Radigan. He only played that one game, the last game, and he just in that one game, Pete Carroll was like, yes.
Yeah.
And then they end up signing him to a 1-year deal. Like, phenomenal. Like, they just need to get into space, I think, and they'll be able to be evaluated a lot better. You got all these college kids, and of course, nobody's really paying attention to Army. But when they get our kids over there, and they're like, "Wow."
Yeah, I mean, you're getting
leadership coming in there. That just it's like icing on the cake.
Look, you look at like we talked about what Jeff Monken has done, and you talked about that this coaching staff has done. There have been guys, there have been some changes here and there during the years, but the message is still the same. I mean. The fundamentals it's a fundamentally sound. You're getting a fundamentally sound kid when they're coming out of Army, no doubt.
Yeah.
And now you look at, like we talked about Andre Carter. I know that in the past there's been scouts at Army practices looking at Army players, and now that should increase a little bit with Andre there. And you got players like we talked about, seniors. You got Marquel there. You got Jabari Moore there. You got I don't know. I mean, who wouldn't give if you're an NFL team, who wouldn't give Jacoby Buchanan a chance at least, right?
Gosh.
I mean, that guy does
not one. Like, I don't even think nobody in football, college football right now can say they have carried the ball as many times as he has and have not lost yardage. Yeah. No negative yardage. That's just in 3 years. No negative yardage.
I think this year will be important for him, for the team, and for down the road. I mean, he's going to get an opportunity to play on some more passing downs where he might have to protect. And I love the plays where they run bootleg with the quarterback and they have him as a lead blocker, and he starts knocking down.
Yes, he just knocks them down one by one. It's like, gosh. A freight train just came through there.
I'm like, why can't you call that play almost one time a series, and just get him out? And you could run like me and Madden. I'll go the opposite way with a play the next time, around. Just switch it. I don't know. Just get him out in space and showcase. I mean, there's you got the younger guys. Well, younger guys going to be juniors. We mentioned Isaiah Alston and Tyrell Robinson, those guys.
Yes. How about Maurice Ballon moving over to slot back?
Something to watch out for, definitely. Yeah. I think those slot backs, I've always said that in the past couple of years, and last year they did get them a little bit more involved in the offense, the slot backs, right? Because you can't that talent is just too they're just too talented of players not to have the ball or be involved somehow.
Some type of way with the ball in their hand.
Yeah. Yeah,
Tyrell Robinson leaping almost 10 yards into the
end zone.
End zone. Like, where did that come from?
It's exciting. Ajon Marshall is a guy that I mean, that guy is just. I saw Kel Walker, who's been a co-host on this podcast. We haven't had Kel on in a while. I gotta get in touch with Kel.
Number 5.
He brings it, right, and he said something he mentioned to the Ravens on Twitter to watch out for this guy because
he did.
He's only going into his junior year, but Ajon Marshall, man, if he's shown. I'm not even going to say flashes. When he's been given an opportunity, he's gotten the job done. Not flashes. He just goes out there and performs. And I think that this year is could use him more. I mean, get those slotbacks involved in the passing game. Maurice Ballon, let's see what he can do with the ball in his hands. He's a converted quarterback. Let's see what he can do with the ball in his hands.
You know who I'm ready to see that I don't think they played enough is Sam Barzak. The one game he played, he was knocking people down, pancaking them like crazy, man. Like I'm ready to see Barzak on this field because they're gonna unleash a beast that I don't think fans really know what he is about.
And he's going to be a senior, right? So he's a guy like there's years where the senior offensive linemen have played behind guys who have started maybe multiple years and are just waiting for their turn. And he got his chance last year to play. I believe it was a UConn game he played in. I could be wrong. And I think he played the most snaps out of anybody, I think, on the team and that game. And
ESPN, I think, was it ESPN or CBS Sports Network? One of them was running the play over and over and over and over of him just trucking people.
Yeah, Ross Tucker, the CBS Sports, he does the analyst for TV analyst. He loves the offensive line play, and he loves just watching those guys knock people around. So, yeah, you know what? That's another question mark, maybe possibly from fans or people who follow the team. How are they going to replace? They lost. You don't realize that they lost. Knapp, right? Dean Powell, Mason Kolinchek, Cam Holloway, Zach Ward. Those are 5 senior offensive linemen who were probably their top 8 or 9 guys.
Yes.
So, and yes, you have 3 starters returning in Connor Bishop, Connor Funekin, and also Booby Law. But there's those 2 open spots. Who's going to step up? I had to do a preview for a magazine, and I'm like, I just don't know. Full disclosure, I didn't get to any practices in the spring that I wanted to. Just bog down with work, and we had photographers and also another reporter up there, but I just don't know. Usually, I'll study like first, second, and third teams in practices and know who the next guy up is. And
Marquel kind of broke it up this year. It wasn't the same type of practices either. He mixed them all together, the 1s, the 2s, and the 3s.
Yeah.
It wasn't like first string, second string, third string. He all together with each other. And I know for sure in the spring game he did that for sure. Normally it's like the 1s and the 2s going against each other, but he mixed like the team, the black and the gold team was mixture of everybody. Yeah.
It might have worked out because he said that he saw probably what their best quote session practice was, and that's what you hope in the black and gold game. Yeah, it's for fun, right? But you hope that there's some guys who really step up and show out in that game. And they need some guys on the offensive line to do that. And Sam has live game reps, so he's not a guy who's just going to come out inexperienced. And
he's been in prep school.
Yeah, Coastal Carolina is not Wisconsin, the venue, but no, it's the stadium is about 25,000, I think.
Yes.
But I think for that game, even though it is on Labor Day weekend, I think that you're going to get enough Army fans there that there's going to be and Coastal fans there too, that there's going to be a good environment there. So that's going to be a good, really test to see. There's going to be some first-year starters there, no doubt. First-time starters in that game, and we'll see how they react, and we'll see who emerges. Booby Law, we have a sense he didn't participate in spring practice, but you look at he will be back. And then who's going to play opposite that? Is it going to be like a Simon Dillinger? Is it going to be a Shane Buckingham?
I'm ready to see him too.
I think that there's
another one that's just emerging, ready, sitting in the gap.
And now you got Mike Vitti coaching the offensive line. So I mean that's just that they're going to have that mentality there right away, ready to go. And Brent Davis does a heck of a job too with the offensive line as the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach. So, man, like we said, we started this out. We can't wait till we got the countdown clock here started at Black Knight Nation.
I'm gonna start put the ticker up.
We have to get it going because I mean it's just
And I'm gonna pin it to my Twitter.
You know what? That's a great idea. And you know what?
Yeah.
I think that some people are maybe a little uncertain going into the season. Not uncertain, the program's won 9 games the last 2 years, but just talking to you,
unknown.
yeah, there's some unknowns. I think that the quarterback situation, it's not as deep, but Tyre has a lot of experience, and Cade's
But I can say Alon Mitchell has an arm on him.
Okay.
He has an arm now. He reminds me of Christian Anderson, but with a better arm. Like I believe we're gonna see some bombs out of that arm. Like,
yeah, I mean, they're gonna. We should talk about just real quick. I mean, Christian Anderson, that passing game made a difference for Army in 2021, and with him graduating, and Jabari Laws too. Jabari Laws getting in the Wake Forest game, and Wake Forest, a top 25 team, and throwing 3 TD passes, and him in the final minutes of the bowl game, leading the team down the field.
Yes.
Who's going to step up and throw the ball for this team when they need to throw the ball? Exactly. Coach said Tyre's improved on his passing in the spring. Cade Ballard,
Oh, gosh. Cade has an arm, too.
He does. And I think that some Army fans, when he's had an opportunity to throw the ball, especially 2 years ago, he was effective. Now, is there a huge sample size in games? Not a lot, but let's see what happens in that first game. I think they will go probably, the 2 quarterback system.
Yeah.
And, I think they will.
They burst something in that multiple quarterback thing.
Yeah, I think they will go there. And then you need to find out, okay, who's going to be number 3? Who's going to be number 4? And honestly, I think if Jamel Jones can stay healthy, he can throw the ball too.
He can throw, but he's a powerful runner too.
You're right. He's a between the tackles guy. So I think if he can stay on the field and practice, I've always liked Jamel Jones from freshman year. I always thought that he was a guy that can do just about. You can ask him to do just about everything in the offense that they need. So, smart player too. So, it's gonna be pretty interesting. But what I wanted to touch on real quick, and we brought it up a couple times, but just you hear about it from the players in the spring about the Navy game, right? And the guys who are coming back, really, that's always the top goal every year, right? To beat Navy and win the CIC trophy. Well, the CIC trophy is still at West Point, but they didn't really. It wasn't like earned, so to speak, with beating Navy. And I've talked about that Navy game endlessly. I mean, I don't want to break down the X's and O's of that game in May, but I think that we're gonna see, maybe like you were talking about, you're gonna see that fire from this team pretty early.
Oh, yeah. Because I think that's a burn that's been left on them. That's like that 2019 team when Navy beat them that year and they came back 2020. They got a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
Because they were this close to, like, I feel like we were the better team.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show, you can't underestimate anybody, but it's a chip on that shoulder. They're coming after that one.
Yeah, and you have
games this year, those 2 games, they're gonna have that.
Yeah, and the Air Force game. I mean, I honestly think that Air Force team was really a good team last year, and Army was able to beat them. So I mean, that's not going to be an easy game either. But I think that you got a lot of like we say, fire going into the season, and you're going to get tested with those first 2 games. People might look at the schedule and say, Coastal Carolina, Texas, San Antonio. There's not a Power 5 school among those 2 teams, but Texas San Antonio was, I believe, in the top 25 last year. Yes. Coastal Carolina has been in the top 25 the last 2 years. You got to deal with Grayson McCall, first game of the season. He's an amazing player. Yeah. That program is.
It's a different program right now.
That program has got the same kind of. They're bringing the same that Army's going to bring in that game. They don't. I mean, you look at their locker rooms. Their locker rooms are one of the most animated and just it. I was talking about this the other day. I mean, it's just crazy, and that the way that program is. My stepson graduated from Coastal a a few years ago, so I know the program pretty well, follow it very closely, and that's going to be a good test. Coach Monken said they've lost 3 games in the last 2 years, so they don't expect to go in there and like.
They didn't lose too many seniors either.
You know what? Surprisingly, this was happening Sunday when Army guys were announced and they were getting the rookie camps.
Mm-hmm.
Last count I heard, 12 Coastal Carolina seniors were either drafted or went to camp or rookie camp. So,
Yes.
The tight end, they lost a tight end and a wide receiver. I think most of their running backs are back. But see, with Coastal, what's different with Coastal than Army is that they can get those grad transfers in, or they can use the transfer window a little bit.
Yeah.
Army can't. So you got guys who, that they're gonna get some players. They've gotten players from Power 5 schools to transfer to them, and I think there was a wide receiver that had an impact on their team. So you see, and I'm doing some recruiting. I'm gonna have a recruiting thing on our website pretty soon. Army has offered over 500 kids already from the 2023 class,
Wow.
and so I'm gonna break down of those kids, what offers do they have, and Power 5 offers all the way down to a group of 5, and they're about, I would say, close to 20 kids right now out of those 500. And you may not say that's not that many, right? But there are about 20 kids that also have offers from Coastal Carolina. So I mean,
that game is going to be important.
Yeah, Army is in Texas San Antonio. Yeah, there's like another 20 players that Texas San Antonio has also offered. That also been offered by Army in Texas San Antonio. So these are games, and some of these kids are going to make their decisions before their senior year start, but others are going to maybe wait a little bit and maybe get out to the Army Texas San Antonio game and visit, or maybe they'll be visiting Coastal and the guys who have also offers from Army, and maybe they'll see Army play live and they'll be like, so it's really. I'm really excited to do it. I got a lot of work to do this week to get it done. But here's what I'm also going to do. I'm going to break down how, and this is crazy. So there's 500. I got about 510 guys right now that I've charted. About 150 plus have Air Force offers too.
Wow. So, I can believe that one.
Yeah. And so Navy too, like about 140 have Navy. So I'm going to chart those. I'm not going to say specific names. I'm going to not list out all 150.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give the general info on recruiting. And it's going to be really neat to know how many kids out of those 500 have offers from all 3 service academies.
Yes.
How many receivers.
Interesting when you get to breaking it down I can just tell by the last couple of years of how many players as they're reading their offers or things like that, they had an offer from Army, Navy, and Air Force. I know Marquel coming in, he didn't get the Navy offer, but he had Air Force. And it was funny because he was up for a visit. He had got an offer from Air Force and an offer from Army. And he was up there for the Army Air Force game in the snow that year where they beat him. He was up there with Air Force. Hey, Army made him a believer. Like it was.
Wow. He was in Colorado Springs for that game?
Yes.
Wow. The 21, not the 21-0 game, right?
Yeah, that's the game in the snow, right? Yeah. And he got there in 2017 game, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He was at that game. He was like, man, mama, when I looked at those coaches, I couldn't do nothing but put my head down. I was on the opposite sideline. But I think that was the drive. Like that culture right there is what kind of reeled him in a lot. And I think he even said that on his interview.
Yeah.
The game that he loved that part, like that culture. He's very competitive, and literally that game was like an icebreaker.
It happens, right? I mean, like you could be on the opposite sidelines and see the other team and how that they're like the intensity that is played, the precision that is played, and check out, the coach's fire and say, okay, I mean, it's very competitive. I think it's a very interesting look I'm going to have. Man, I got to get it done. I've been trying to get it out before, like right as spring practice ends. And I'm just like, wait, they just offered like 5 more kids today. I got to catch up on that. And then I got if you miss one kid and your numbers get wrong, I gotta. I'm a stickler. I have to double check. I have to double check stuff. So it's gonna be interesting to see. And I think that sometimes, what's the word I'm trying to think of? I think sometimes it's downplayed, some of the players that Army gets and what they might have if they didn't have an offer from a Power 5 school. There's interest from a Power 5 school. I think that sometimes when it's said that, well, we just played Rice and we didn't have one guy on our roster get an offer from Rice. Well, now I'm gonna see what. Now I'm gonna chart that a little bit more and see what happens. Just to. I think it's fun. I love doing that kind of stuff. So I'll have that. Man, I'm hoping by this week. I really hope it. It's just like let people dive in. Hopefully, I can get a recruit on talk to a recruit too that has offers from all three and see where their head is at. Is at now. Maybe that can be a follow-up story. So look forward to that. Hey man, Frederica, it's been great. I really appreciate your time. And
I love it.
We can talk Army football all day and all night long, right?
Yes, we can.
It's a Sunday night, so we're gonna call the podcast now. But really appreciate your stuff, and I know that you follow you have a social media impact too. I mean, you're always tweeting, right? You're always retweeting. You're a big fan of the Black Knight Nation podcast. You said that you got your notification today, right? You might be the one. We really appreciate it. You got your notification.
I got my notification set, so it gives me a reminder 30 minutes before it's supposed to come on. Black Knight Nation has a podcast with such and such coming up, and I'll just hit my reminders, and I'll be watching.
Yeah.
And
so,
now,
guys,
before I used to heart it. I can't heart it now. When you be talking on YouTube, you can't heart it. So I was like, man, I'm gonna have to start typing in. I'm watching.
Yeah, please feel free when you're watching the comment, and thank you so much. And guys, if please subscribe to our Black Knight Nation YouTube channel. That's where you can get your notifications. Next week, tentatively, next Sunday, we're going to have Caleb Campbell on. He was the last Army football player to be drafted by the Lions in 2008, I believe. And so we're hoping to have Caleb Campbell on next week. Steve Anderson, we're going to get Steve Anderson back in the co-host chair. And that will be a fun podcast because Caleb Campbell has a very, very interesting story. And if some of you newer Army fans who might not have followed Army back in the time that Caleb Campbell played, there's a lot to unpack there. And Caleb really, real quick story on Caleb. My first year on the Army football beat was 2007. And yes, I had covered the team in a backup way, like when the beat writer had other assignments, I would cover the team. I would get to practices, but Caleb was my go-to. My first year, it was his senior year, and he did every year, every week. We had Caleb Campbell's Heisman vote, where every week after the games, he gave me his top 5 Heisman candidates. He gave me a list of, he got the list of players' names, nicknames for the entire roster. He gave me nicknames for the entire roster, and I did a story because back then they were struggling, and you were looking for some offbeat stuff to do. So I did a story on nicknames for the players and some interesting nicknames. And man, I can't thank Caleb enough. That's what really got me like going with the Army football team and the Army football beat. So hopefully we have Caleb on next Sunday. That'll be a great one. We have some others that we're trying to set up with Mike Sullivan, who's now the Steelers quarterbacks coach, who we're trying to get on. He was with Army a couple years back in a player personnel type role. And we have maybe a couple other players who may not be like household names to some people, but are now serving in the Army at very high positions that can give you like stories. That's what this podcast is all about. I think that I don't know if that you enjoy that, Frederica, but just hearing how they rised, right?
Yes, I think was it last week? King, was it on there?
Oh, Adisa King. We had Adisa King on.
I love that one.
That was great. And him and Steve have a special relationship, and I could just let those guys go and play off each other, and you'll get like incredible stories. And that guy is the guy. And we talked about this, and you know this from Marquel. I'm sure there's been players of the past that have that either he's reached out to in a letter or they reach out to him saying, "Hey, if you need anything, I'm here." You know, if you need anything, and that's so important. We talked about getting through West Point, not only on the football field, but in the classroom and graduating from West Point. And sometimes you need somebody that's done it before to hear a friendly voice, right? Or hear a comforting voice. And I think that Adisa King definitely was that guy. I mean, that guy was, the energy that he brought to that podcast was great. And that's what we're trying to do here. So guys, follow us on the Black Knight Nation YouTube channel. Give a blackknightnation.com is our website. And doing a little bit more with Instagram on Black Knight Nation too. So the followers are going up a little bit. Check out our Instagram account, and you can follow us at BK Knight Nation on Twitter, and my Twitter, of course, at Sal Interdonato. Frederica, you got your social medias, right? That people know where to find you too. So we appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys, tonight for following our podcast. We thank Frederica Daniels for her second time on here on Mother's Day. To all you mothers, hope you had a great day tonight, and we'll be back soon with another podcast.